Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they've spent. Take another look and take some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Well, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides, poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, it's time for hemp.
Yes, it is. It is time for hemp. Thank you for tuning in to the big broadcast today. We ask that you share us with your friends. My name is Casper Leitch. I am your host of the big broadcast. And we ask that anytime you hear the word joint, you take a hit off your pipe, your bong, your vaporizers, and join us in taking time for hemp. We have some joint guests on the program, and we have some joint hosts on the program for our joint chat today. And I'm going to bring on to our joint broadcast one of my joint friends here in the world. Name is Byrne. He's got a groovy book that he's written with. And he didn't write it jointly with anybody. He wrote it by himself. And it's called, well, let's say I went to public schools, FOR, for country and canonymous, for country and canonymous.
Yeah, cannabis.
That's it, cannabis. Hi, Al.
Don't confuse anybody. Hi, Casper. Glad to be here as always. We got a great guest, a Canadian coming up. And yeah, I wrote this book. I did write it alone, if you will, but I wrote it about a whole pile of people who, in my estimation, over 40 years, actually were responsible for the medical cannabis aspect of our society that we have going today, the legal states, the medical states. Who did that? How did they do it? That's what that book is about. It identifies those people that I think were pioneers, and there's no telling the numbers, the extreme numbers, millions of people that have been helped because of their work and sacrifice 35, 40 years ago. So that's what it's about. But today, we're going to remember one of those people. Actually, the folks that I wrote about are generally Europeans and U.S. citizens. But today, we're going to remember a very wonderful Canadian citizen. And I'll leave it at that. So in order to introduce the Canadian citizen of the day, I'm going to introduce another Canadian citizen of today, Al Graham, Ontario man.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Groovy, hi. How you doing, Al?
Doing all right. What can I say?
Still broadcasting on the Pace Radio Network?
That's right. People advocating cannabis education. We have programming 7 days a week, cannabis as well as psychedelics, to get yourself some news as well as interview with patients, and you just never know what's going to happen.
And you do some joint broadcasts there around the country too, don't you? You're out and about sometimes working jointly with fellow activists.
Oh, yes. We go around and go to different events, do interviews, as well as with the Pace Network also works with another network called 420 Radio, and we combine our shows and programmings together on a network called the 420 Pace.
Groovy, and I understand you're bringing one of your joint friends to the broadcast today, who is, as we sometimes say in America, he's a breeder.
Well, he is.
He's a breeder.
He sure is.
We're talking about plants.
Cannabis, though. He's a breeder for cannabis. Yeah, our guest today is a legendary cannabis grower, breeder, cultivator. He's known for his work on the Afghani Bullrider strain. He's been working within the cannabis industry here. He's co-founded a cannabis brand. It's all capital letters, but I'm just going to call it Bullrider. And he's a well-known figure within the community. He's also a prolific writer on cannabis, as well as other botany, and as well as his focuses on cultivation. We'd like to welcome Jef Tek to the time for Hemp show. How you doing, Jeff?
Hey, how you doing, Al, Casper?
You got
Glad
quite
to
a
be here.
resume. You got quite a resume there, Jeff. Sounds like you've got quite a bit of history behind you.
Yeah, I've kind of always been a Jeff of all trades. If you could break it, I could fix it.
And you're a dog person. Everybody on this show is a dog person.
Yeah, there's Tuffy hanging out. Tough Gong.
Tough
His,
dog.
his sister is Marley Montenegro, and she's inside. She doesn't like the sun as much as we do. She's the dark one in the family.
Where are you, Jeff? Where are you
when you
physically
breed-
located?
When you breed plants, I mean, is it like you just like slice one here, slice one there, and stick them together, wrap a little tape around it, and cross your fingers, or
No,
how do you crossbreed and breed?
I put a male and a female in the master bedroom, a little vino, put on some Dean Martin, and just let the magic happen.
Al, what were you asking, Jeff?
I was just for the audience. Where are you, Jeff, in the world? You're in Canada. That's a big place.
I'm on my back porch right now.
Okay, you want to remain hidden? That's all right with me. But we just want.
Nah, we're in beautiful British Columbia.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've been there.
Yeah.
Tourist. Yeah, it is beautiful. Wonderful.
It's nice out. I figured I'd get some sun while I was hanging out with you guys.
Sure.
Little sun.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a TV show, so it's action. See, you're moving around, and that's good.
Right on.
And then we have your puppy back there too. She's right in the show, so we're good. Well, I'm going to drop here and let you Canadian guys get on with this thing here. So,
all right, Jeff, I mentioned a bunch of stuff about you and your past and that. Over the years, you want to talk a bit about that, and also today we want to talk a lot about Michelle as well.
Well, so I was born and bred in Chicago, Illinois, originally. Then I started growing weed and got kind of infamous, so I decided to park my hat under the 215 umbrella and went down to San Diego, El Cajon to be exact, the box. And one thing led to another, and I became introduced to Michelle Rainey. She came down and visited me for the very first batch, coincidentally, of Afghani Bullrider, which I got from a local. Now, he didn't know how to clone. He was a seed hoarder. He had like a whole file box full of seeds. It was crazy. But the Bullrider actually was an accident. It was a crystal laden male in his backyard that, we all thought it was a female. I mean, anybody in their right mind would have figured it was a female because it was just coated with resin.
Mm-hmm.
It turned out to be a male, and that was the Afghani, and it pollinated Bullrider that was growing in his backyard, creating Afghani Bullrider, which is technically Bullrider Afghani, but it doesn't sound right.
Mm-hmm.
So I cleaned it up, I cloned it, and it was an outdoor strain, and there was no reason that it should ever grow, fruitfully indoors. And it did. It prospered, and I've been growing it for 22, going on 22 years now.
Nice.
Crazy. Well, Michelle was there for the very first batch, and they were just little, 16-inch tall little, budlings.
Yeah.
And they were hanging up, and they coincided with her visit, and she loved it. It really helped her Crohn. She told me she had a strain up here, Williams Wonder.
Yes.
It was okay. She said, but that was her go-to, and it was harder to find it. Well, pretty much just told me, we need you up in Canada. And I specifically moved to San Diego because I didn't know anybody there. I didn't really want to be tied down in any way, shape, or form. So the whole reason that I'm in Canada and I'm now a permanent resident is because of Michelle. I mean, she's like, we need you. We need you for the activism. So I came up and we got married at the fourth the fourth and final Tokers Bowl was in 2005. I was here in 2004 for the third one, but we got married. We actually got married at Mona's restaurant at Final Judgment on the 4th of July, which is U.S. Independence Day. I got hitched. 24 days later, 25 days later, the U.S. DEA, in conjunction with the Vancouver Police Department, prosecuted a warrant for the arrest of Mark, Michelle, and Greg Williams. Mark Emery,
Right.
Michelle Rainey, Greg Williams, and they became the BC3.
Yeah.
So that day, I was the first one in cuffs, first one let go, because they only had a warrant for those three. They shut down the BC Marijuana Party on 307 West Hastings, and I walked in the front door, a confused individual, and I walked out the back door, an activist. So, yeah,
Yeah.
July 29th, 2005, the day that I'll never forget.
No. That I remember when all that happened, and yeah, a lot of people were like, "What the WTF" on that for sure, because of it was being run also by the U.S. government was involved in it. So,
Well, Jef, take us there. Why was Michelle arrested? What was her crime? And the other guys, I know, we all know, but the audience needs to know. Why were they arrested?
So they had Cannabis Culture magazine, and the BC Marijuana Party was putting candidates into ridings in and around Canada. And the USDA, their eradication on marijuana, kept finding Cannabis Culture magazines on the coffee tables of the arrestees. And so the
It was a
Washington
popular magazine. There wasn't
District
many like it.
Attorney.
It was just it and High Times and maybe like two others. So, I mean, they were. It was
but the thing is, the first 10 to 14 pages were all just seeds, seed companies, and the USDA didn't take a cotton to that. So the Washington District Attorney figured it would be a feather in her cap to do a Tommy Chong type thing and go after Mark, Michelle, and Greg. I think it kind of backfired on him because, Mark did do 5 years down in, federal prison.
Yeah.
But, Michelle and Greg Michelle was posthumously released from probation and a year after she passed. So that was nice of them. And, it was the seed. It was the seed business. It was really radical at the time that somebody could just order seeds and get them from seeds from all over the world. Mostly, Europe, Germany, Spain.
which oddly now you can do. So I mean, they served time back then for what is now a business globally.
Well, that's just it. Now everybody and their brother is doing it, but back then they were pretty much the only game in town.
Yeah, they got some attention, but when you look at the cannabis rules, even of the day, the seeds were exempt from that sort of criminality.
That's correct, because they're technically considered hemp until you grow it out and produce the final flower. So all cannabis is hemp, but not all hemp is cannabis. So yeah.
Correct.
Right, but from the Fed's point of view, it was all. But from a law point of view, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but the seeds were exempt. And for instance, if you even if you're in a non-legal state here in the United States, and you go into your local supermarket, whatever it is, even if it's an IGA, and you buy some birdseed, you look at the birdseed, what's in that birdseed, and you'll find hemp seed. Because
Exactly.
even back in the 30s, when hemp was marijuana and it was declared Schedule 1 and all that reefer madness shit, they made the exemption for the seed because it's so nutritious. But I don't want to get off it. But these people were arrested, put out of business. It was awful. For really doing nothing. And like Casper says, nothing that we don't do now very, very well. And even then, it was kind of legal. So they were screwed. It was different back then.
Well,
You guys,
Yeah,
apparently,
things are definitely different.
yeah, you
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
don't understand the risk of what went on back in those days. It was enormous.
and it
Well,
was
the
seen
risk.
that it didn't interrupt your breeding of your plants and crossbreeding and creating new genetics. Apparently, you continued on with your work.
What was that?
So that apparently it didn't interrupt your work in breeding and cross-pollinating and coming up with strains because you continued with your work, right?
Well, yeah, I'll never forget driving across country, taking Route 66 from Chicago through Texas, thinking if I got a blowout and, you know, a curious cop decided to look through my cargo trailer and find grow equipment, you know, I'd probably still be in jail in Texas to this day.
Yeah.
You know, it's very arbitrary down there, and it still is.
Mm-hmm.
But I took a huge risk, and then I took another huge risk coming to Canada. And then
Yeah.
Michelle was just a guiding light. She was just a bastion for hope and possibilities. And she was self-declared the CEO of the BC Marijuana Party, and she wanted to be an MP. She wanted to be prime minister one day. That was her ultimate end game. She wanted to be prime minister of Canada someday.
Yeah, a
Maybe.
lot of people would have been rattled by all the arrest and the attention that she got from the authorities and the different detours that put you on your path in life. And it just made her stronger, more agitated, more determined. And she really didn't rattle. I mean, she just had a smile on her face and she came at you. I mean, she wasn't going to stop. I mean, she was friendly, but persistent, and she wasn't going to back down. And when grown men were running to their lawyers and crying to their mommies, Michelle was out there screaming at the judges and screaming at the lawyers and screaming at the politicians and not taking anybody's shit. I mean, she was an inspiration to a lot of people around the world.
Yeah, big time. Like, I know first time I saw her speak was for the Treating Yourself Awareness Forum in Toronto. And I sat there and I listened to her talk about, you know, dealing with Crohn's disease. And because I have Crohn's disease myself, and listened to what she had to say. And I thought, you're up there talking about, you know, basically diarrhea, because that's what a lot of Crohn's people deal with. And people wanted to know, and I thought, geez, you know, if she can get up there, then I can get up there and say something too. So yeah, she was an inspiration to me to help me get to speak. No doubt about that. So, talking about
Absolutely.
Michelle,
I mean, she would. We were a great team because she would, you know, be making phone calls and doing the books for Treating Yourself magazine, and, you know, helping out like a multitude of patients. And like even with the Toker's Bowl, she was in touch with these people for years before the actual ceremony. She was in touch with people all around the world. She would talk to them on a daily, sometimes a weekly basis, so that they could come and have a great time in, you know, the end of June, beginning of July. And I mean, she just had a multitude of connections, all the connections that she had. And then all of a sudden, you know, she'd like take a bath and do her makeup, and then she'd get quiet. And I knew what that meant. And the wheels were spinning, and she was thinking about the next video. And so I would just hobble off downstairs, make sure I got my camera and the the lavalier charged up, and I'd just get my tripod and think of an area, and maybe we go to the park, or maybe we go to the backyard, or maybe just in the office or the front yard, whatever,
Yeah.
wherever we decided. Be spontaneous, and without even talking, she just go, okay, I'm ready, and I'd bike her up, and hook it up. Testing, and of course a train would go by, whoop, whoop, something like that, airplane would go over, and she'd get like, they're making me wait. It was really cute and all organic. I mean, we were making YouTube videos 20 years ago, right? I mean, people weren't doing that then.
No.
It was still cats playing with stuff.
Yeah, I
And
know.
she was advocating for neighbors and friendship and camaraderie amongst the poop jokes. And yeah, she took it with a grain of salt. She really didn't have any. She was unabashed. She didn't care if she had. Like me, if I had Crohn's, I never would even left Chicago. I would have been like, my life's over. I don't know what to do. She didn't let anything slow her down. And I tell people this all the time, like she never took any sick days.
No.
She never took a sick day. She was diagnosed with melanoma in 2007. But that didn't slow her down. And she got radical neck dissection surgery in 2008. And she was ambulatory the next day. I mean, she didn't take a day off or nothing. She didn't take any no drugs, no medicine, no medication, just cannabis, my Afghani Bullrider, and she took the world, she had the world, in her hands.
Okay.
And on the last day of September 2010, she had a doctor's appointment with her, family doctor, and she turned jaundice. She had yellow skin that morning, and she goes, wouldn't it be funny if I was pregnant? I'm like, yeah, that would be funny, so we went to the doctor. She kind of knew, and the doctor looked at her eyes and said, 3 weeks. Well, I'll be damned. She passed away on the 20th of October. This was the last day of September. That's exactly 21 days. 21 days is 3 weeks. Dr. Fong was like dead nuts. I mean, dead nuts. 3 weeks. I mean, that was it. And then the first week, we did our wills. And the second week, she said goodbye to, we had Ian Mulgrew from the, from the newspaper, right?
Correct. Yeah, he wrote
Close
cannabis
personal friend.
articles.
Yeah, Ian Mulgrew came. He wrote Bud Inc. The book.
Correct.
He came and sat with her for 3 days. And she had a small assortment of family came visited and this and that, but she took it like a trooper. She was not afraid to move on. She was not, sorry. She was, she was like that bird that freezes to death, never feeling any remorse, no sorrow. She just kept moving forward. She wanted her body, to dedicated to science to help other people. But unfortunately, they can't use you if you have more than one ailment. And so the cancer that killed her was, she had Crohn's as well. So they can't study it because, multiple things. Other than that, she's still, her memory's on the mantle, and she continues to be an inspiration to me on just a daily basis. I mean, there's some days of, my arthritis is through the roof, and I don't take any medicine either. And what would Michelle do? She would just laugh it off, eat some eggs, and go on about the day. And that's what I do. I don't take any medicine. Learned surreptitiously through YouTube, thank you very much, that if you take any kind of aspirin or ibuprofen, Advil, Tylenol, anything like that, you're actually blocking the thing that's supposed to help what you got, which is your I can't
Immune
think of the
system?
word. Your collagen.
Oh,
When
okay.
you know when you bang your elbow and it swells up the next day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the white blood cells, that's the red blood cells, and that's the collagen going to that area to fix that thing. That's the workers that are going. They're being assigned to fix the bridge.
All right.
So when you take Advil, you basically send the workers home. You tell them, no, I don't need you. So that's great. You don't have any inflammation, but you don't get better either. And so the collagen in your body, I believe it gets replaced every 99 days or 101, somewhere around there. So all the collagen in your body is constantly being like recycled, broken down, and replaced. So in theory, if you take Advil for 99 days, you say got the same collagen that you had 99 days ago. And now they're waiting for knee or hip replacement surgery because the collagen isn't doing its job. And then when you go for surgery, what do? They make you take like 7 Tylenol before surgery now. I mean, it's literally shooting yourself in the foot. I got Michelle here.
There we
Yeah, I'm gonna
go.
move you. I'm
Yeah,
gonna move
yeah.
you up. And I
Very
want
much remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, bring that picture back up again. There we go.
Medicinal.
All right.
That's Michelle.
MichelleRainey.com. Check it out.
Yeah.
We've all introduced you to Michelle Rainey. She is an inspiration to many people. Still, she had Crohn's disease, but she also had an attitude that she wasn't going to quit, and that she utilized her path in life as a tool for ending cannabis prohibition. She worked diligently to educate the world about how important it is to take time for hemp, and we're going to share that with you. Now, it's our way of raising the dead. We're focusing on the archives here. There's a lot of voices that are very important to hear from still. And with that said, if you get a chance to visit timeforhemp.news and go through the archives, you'll be introducing yourself to a lot of other hemp heroes like Michelle Rainey.
That's right, you will be. And just so you bring Jef back into the broadcast here. He lost his connection, but he's back. Yes, Michelle's inspired a lot of people. She helped a lot of people. She gave out packages. There was that care package she gave out to everybody so they could help them get their licenses, so on and so forth, big time. So would you like to hear from Michelle herself? We can do that right now.
Please do.
All righty, here we go.
It is my pleasure to welcome back a very famous Canadian activist, Michelle Rainey. She's been involved in medical cannabis for quite some time, quite an advocate for it. And Michelle, why don't you tell the audience why it is that you utilize medical marijuana?
I have Crohn's disease, and marijuana saved my life. I'll start from the beginning, a real quick background of it. I was diagnosed when I was 16 years old, and that was back in about 1986, just before high school graduation. Very difficult time. There was no known cause, no known cure for Crohn's disease, and we didn't have the World Wide Web as we do now for information and resources. I succumbed to 2 surgeries, very painful surgeries, also a multitude of pharmaceuticals that overtook my body. And I was deteriorating at a rapid rate, but at the same time, I was still trying to maintain a career in banking. Then a dear friend of mine suggested to me when I was 22 years old to try some marijuana. Now, during high school, I had not participated that often with cannabis. I was a type A personality and worked every single day after school. My mother was a single parent raising me as my father had passed away when I was young. So it was important to me to contribute to my mother and my family, but at the same time, I was very honored to have, like I said, a dear friend suggest maybe some cannabis would alleviate some of the symptoms I was having with Crohn's. The nausea was terrible, and so was the pain. And taking Ativan, lorazepam, Tylenol 3, Demerol, morphine, just wasn't giving Michelle Rainey the ability to function every day.
Didn't that kind of a chemistry set, a combination, have a lot of side effects that were overwhelming?
overwhelming to the point where I lost 2 days, had no memory of what happened for 2 days. That terrified me, and it was at that moment I realized I cannot be taking these ever again.
And when you smoked marijuana, was there an immediate change in your feeling and ability to deal with Crohn's disease, or was it a slow process?
It alleviated my nausea immediately. I was able to eat, and I didn't find myself having the terrible cramping that comes with having Crohn's disease. I have chronic diarrhea, and I will have that for the rest of my life. And I have no problem with that, trust me. I carry my Huggies baby wipes wherever I go. I love the fact that apparently in Europe and Japan there are bidets everywhere. I'll have to write a book someday on all the potty stories. I know where all the clean toilets are all over Canada. It's a situation, Crohn's disease, you have to look at it with humor. You really do, because what goes into your body wants to come out very quickly. And it's almost like, how could I compare it? I met a bunch of physicists who told me we can digest small particles of glass, but apparently digesting nails is even more painful. So I use that as an example. Picture yourself eating a bunch of nails, having it go through your system. It chops everything up. Marijuana has enabled me to be Michelle Rainey again, to be outgoing, to be the person I've always been. That's the workaholic as well as the compassionate caregiver. And at the same time, I can function. I don't feel like I need to pass out and fall asleep. I don't feel like I'm going to lose a day. I don't feel delirious.
Michelle, I can't express how wonderful it's been to see you again. Thank you for taking time for hemp.
Casper, it is an honor and a pleasure to be on your show. I've been a fan of yours for a long time, and thank you very much.
I love you, Michelle. I sure miss you. And Michelle also made it a point to put a spotlight on the working girls in the neighborhood. She'd ask people to adopt a prostitute, adopt a hooker. She made it a point to let people know that they're not out there because they want to be. They're out there because they need to be. And it would not be any problem just to go out and rent them for an hour just to sit and talk, and just to take them out for a nice lunch and to make friends with them and let them know that they're not alone. So Michelle Rainey would ask anybody listening to please adopt a hooker. And she would do it with tongue in cheek, but she was sincere. So if you know any working girls, go out and show them some love in a proper way and let them know that you were inspired to do so by Michelle Rainey here at Time for Hemp. Al Graham, Al Byrne, and Jef. Is it not nice to have her among us?
Yes, it is.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It is.
Alternative intelligence is what I call it.
She's been gone she passed away in 2010. And there we are, being able to, with technology today, to allow her to continue on with her education.
And have her here on the big broadcast with us. So please make it a point to check us out at the timeforhemp.news archives. You'll find Jack Hare in there. You'll find Gatewood Galbraith in there. You'll find a lot of people who are no longer with us in there, but there's a lot of people who are still are, and all of them were dedicated to ending cannabis prohibition all around the world. Now, Jef, I take it that your work as a breeder, which I guess after, we need to let people know we mean by plants, your work as a breeder has gotten you the attentions of a Grammy award-winning musicians. Is that because you're like the go-to guy if they want to buy a good sack of herb in Canada, or what?
Yeah, everything happens organically. It's pretty wild. With Michelle going to Idea City, that was her favorite. That was her favorite thing every year. She went in 05, 06, 07, 9, 8, 9, 10. And I went posthumously in 2011 and speak with her and Anita Kuntz on stage. But because of that small microcosm of movers and shakers and Canadians, I got adopted by them. I wound up knowing a whole bunch of quasi-famous, semi-notorious people But
So are you in business with them, or are you opening dispensaries with them? Are you naming new bud strains after them? Or are you just sitting around and getting high with them?
well, for a while, I was just taking care of them. Really, after Michelle passed, I just kept taking care of the people that she took care of when she was alive. And then I got to build a lot of good friendships that way, and basically just pass the torch, I guess, just to keep the love flowing as much as I could. And yeah, it wound up in the hands of a certain producer who may or may not work with Drake, and he had MS, and he was diagnosed in his 20s. He'd probably had a couple of years to live. Well, that was 18 years ago, something. So I find that the Afghani Bullrider is suitable for creativity like none other. There's all kinds of strains out there, like Flow, for example, comes to mind, but nothing is as inspirational as the Afghani Bullrider. And just being in the legal market now, you have to have testing done, analysis, and a COA. And when the COA came back, I was actually really, really surprised, and it opened my eyes to something that I've always known, and that is, don't go just chasing the THC number. It's just a number on your jersey. It doesn't really tell you who you're playing for.
All right.
And the Afghani Bullrider is 0.0% CBD. And CBD is a thing that makes you sleepy. CBD is the thing that we used to get ridiculed for being lazy hippie stoners.
Right.
CBD is the thing that, after you get the munchies, you have to pass out.
Right.
And it's great for helping you to sleep. Don't get me wrong. I actually tried CBD recently to help, to see if it would help sleep. But unfortunately with me, it gave me worse cotton mouth than just having a couple beers. But that's the thing about Afghani Bullrider. You can smoke it all day, and it's just as uplifting as the very first time you smoked it. Well, no, and it doesn't matter if it's been 10 years or if it's been 10 minutes. When you smoke it, you're immediately uplifted, which really helps the creative types in our society. The musicians, actors, activists, anybody, Michelle, keep going. It's like a cup of coffee.
One of the reasons why I can't do indicas is because of just that. They make me sleepy and tired, and I'm 100, so I got no problem staying awake as it is. I nap in between eating, with a fork in my mouth. But
with the Afghan part of it, it makes me think that it was an indica strain. That you say, or the effects are along the. So would that be more because of the terpenes that came with it? That the effects of them.
Well, see, that's a great question, Al, because I've always considered it to be a hybrid. I consider it's so unique, and so many people have said that there's cannabis, and then there's Bullrider, and when they say that, it's a compliment, but they're really referring to Afghani Bullrider, because Bullrider proper is an indica that grew all up and down the West Coast, from San Ysidro all the way up to Humboldt County. And it grew in people's backyards since the 90s.
Wow.
Now, that was a knock you down strain. Straight Bullrider proper was an unbelievably powerful strain. Now, when it got accidentally crossed with that Afghani male that was covered with crystal in my buddy's backyard in El Cajon, or Lakeside, technically, it just changed. It just shook everything up. So that's why when you smoke it, there's reminiscent of the 70s when you first smoked some Acapulco Gold. When you smoke it on a certain temperature, humidity, and you hit it, and it's just like, wow, I remember that. Like, so people that have never smoked Bullrider Afghani Bullrider, I mean, are brought back to a time and place and space where we didn't even have names.
Yeah. Very few names.
Well,
Very few names.
that's the other thing about names too. But people say, "Well, what are you smoking?" It's like, someone could tell me it's Jack Hair herb, and I would have no idea because it was imported from 8 states over through 8 different hands. So
Yeah.
I just always tell them, what's the name of the herb you're smoking, and I always tell them it's called good.
Yeah.
I have a technical question, Jeff.
Sure.
Is strain the right word?
Phenotype, I guess.
Cultivar.
And the thing is, I've been growing it for 21 years, so it's actually it's an OG, meaning that it's original grown, it's ocean grown, so it's double OG, it's heritage, and it's legacy.
Wow.
And I consider it to be a medicinal hybrid because there is nothing else like it. And I'm not,
So
tooting my own horn. This is other people's opinions.
So now, is this like a trademark thing, a copywritten thing? Like, you see in all these trade magazines or like Monsanto, where if you live next door to me and for some reason pollen goes into my plant and I get a little bit of your plant, you can sue my ass for growing your shit or whatever.
Yeah, it technically, the strain, cultivar, whatever you want to call it, it always goes back to the ownership of the original breeder. So I'm the first one to grow it in Canada. I made seeds. I made S1 seeds back in San Diego and saved them, mailed them to myself. But with the Cannabis Culture magazine and the first 14 pages were covered with seed companies, I figured, I have my hands busy. And the AB was just like a fallback kind of thing from the States. So after a year of trying everything, and I grew DJ Short's blueberry from DJ Short himself. I grew Mikado, and I grew Godbud, and I even grew some Williams Wonder that Michelle had some seeds from back in the day, and I took those seeds and I picked the best one and I grew that out. And I remember I grew the Hemp Star and I grew Shark Shock and all these things, and they were just substandard. They were just, they're coming out. I mean, they're coming out better than the breeders originally intended, but they still weren't like anything to really write home about. You know what I mean? And it was after we moved to Maple Ridge out here where we're still living. It was covered, the trees were covered with powdery mildew outside.
All right.
And the DJ Short blueberry skunk became susceptible to it. So I lost that strain. And then I was growing the one from McMahon, I forgot what it was. Burmese. I was growing the Burmese, and I grew that for 3 times longer than he grew it. And according to him, I grew it 3 times better. But then I fell back on the AB because it was just, I was missing it. I was missing it so bad. I popped those seeds and I went, 50 phenos twice, 100. And I picked a couple, and there was a number 5 that was pretty impressive. Shared that with Carol Gwilt and Don Briere, and a couple of people got strains of that. I shared it with Ramo Nutrients, of course, and shared it with a few other people, Farmer Tom, and I don't know, just a couple random people, and it was okay. And then there was number 23. The 23 was very, very sativa, and it was wispy, and it was very, very fruity, very, very, very fruity. But then what we wound up settling on was the Sweet 16, and that's what I had at the 2005 Toker's Bowl. I had enough weed to either enter the bowl or to just share it with everybody at the bowl.
All right.
Well, I chose the latter. And I know it was the right choice because it would have blown everything off of that board. And this way everybody had just great memories of it. Like it wasn't entered, but you know, I did win the Kush Cup a few years later. I think the 2010, 2011, I think the Kush Cup, I won the best sativa, which blew me away because I never really considered it to be a sativa. Even though it is, I still always considered it to be a hybrid because I know where it came from. But I guess just selective breeding and choice recognition, they came down to what we have today. And it's still the best thing going. I don't know.
But what I'm getting at is how do you protect your property rights and your background to the seed? And I know Ken Estes from Granddaddy Perp was always getting frustrated because people were growing his stuff and not giving him credit or a couple of bucks for that direction. And you know, Ben Dronkers has made a lot of money off of seeds, so he's very he's very careful about the secrets that he shares on his breeding techniques. And then this guy who does serious seeds over in Europe, he's very diligent and crossbreeding and coming up with new strains and making sure that they're protected. And it sounds like you've got a fantastic strain that you would like to protect and turn into an industry.
Well, that's a great question, Casper, because in truth, once I gave it to my company in 2018, okay, I kind of figured that I was obsolete. I was kind of depressed. I remember giving them the first tray of plants and thinking they don't need me anymore. I mean, right, they're gonna cut clones, and then Mother Labs got some for holding, and Clownetics, and I mean that sincerely. Clownetics got it, and basically just, you know, everything that these labs are doing is just all wrong. They're just growing everything in a generic setting, and then everything gets infested. And then when you pull your strain out of there, you wind up with thrips and potato beetles and all kinds of crap. I mean, it's just like you think that they're saving your strain, but they're not. So basically, AB saved itself because I'm the only one that can grow it the way that people recognize it. I can give it to 100 different growers, and I can tell them exactly the nutrients I use, how much, when, the temperature, the timing. They will mess it up every single time. And that's even with absolute tutelage and open-minded. Now, at the onset, it was always ego. Everybody gets it and they're like, yeah, I know how to grow. I've been growing for 15 years. Don't tell me how to grow. And they would grow it their way, and it would come out, and you couldn't be like flame-proof, burning black.
Well, Jeff, you've told some great stories, and we appreciate it. But like everything else, we
all great things come to an end.
All right, well, Albert, give a shout out for your little book here.
Yes, there's my little book, 360 pages. I wrote it with you in mind. If you're a patient, if you're a caregiver, if you're a veteran, if you just want to know more about cannabis than you already do, which is probably a lot more in this book than you do, buy it. Buy it for the doctor.
Read it.
Read it.
Buy it. Read it. Live it.
Jef Tek,
there you go.
Up there with Michelle. How do people get a copy of that book? Is that just no longer for sale?
Well, I'm still married because it said "till death do you part," and I'm not dead yet. I'm still married.
Very much respect that. Yeah.
And Al Graham, I know you're busy raising the voice of the cannabis movement up there in Canada, letting everybody know how important it is to end prohibition.
Yes, find us at paceradio.net, the Pace Network. We're talking psychedelics as well as cannabis. 7 days a week.
I do want to let everybody know, if you go to timeforhemp.news, there is an archive you can wander through and find all kinds of information from the founders of the hemp movement directly. Lots of free music to download that you can tap your toes to and sing along when you're having a 420 party. and lots of videos that you can also download and share, newsletters, and we do a blog post occasionally because we are working hard to let the whole world know that it really is time for hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they've spent. Take another look and take some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for him. Well, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides, poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, it's time for hemp. Throughout Earth's history, hemp has been used, no mystery. Hemp was legal to pay you. It's for more than a centric act. Check your fix it. Think of all its uses. It's money that's well spent. Right now, no excuses. It's time for hemp. Sustainable green industry, that's our intent. A better place this world will be. It's time for hemp. Fuel and food and clothes and soap, housing, cars, yeah, cars, no joke. Henry Ford built a car, hemp. It's time for us to do it again. People will be employed with balanced farming as it's meant. Right now, it's time for hemp. Hemp is a necessity for the wealth and protection of this country. Thomas Jefferson spoke those words. He knew the value of these herds. Time to lift the hemp ban. It's time to make a strong stand. Yes, we can, I know we can. We can make a difference, yes, we can. Just like birds of a feather, we can work together and lift the hemp ban. Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look and take some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for him.